Guys, we're going to talk about p-value, a probability value. So this is where we start getting into some different pieces of the puzzle. So p-value means probability value. So the probability value. So in other words, it's the probability that we're going to get this value here. We're going to get a value as extreme as this, or larger, or as extreme, or less than, okay? So in other words, this is called a test statistic, because remember that this is an x bar. This is going to be mu. This is going to be mu, let's say, and this is going to be mu. So we're testing our x bar against mu, let's say. And so if we can get a value as great or greater than this test statistic, what's the probability that we're going to get there? So the p-value is getting a value as extreme as, or I should say extreme or greater than the test statistic. So what's the probability that we're going to be outside of this line right here? What's that probability? So it's the probability value that we're going to get something outside that line. So if we're talking about, and it's denoted by alpha, like that. So if we're talking about this here, in that example, we're talking about that better golf club. H of O, or the null hypothesis, sigma is equal to 15 yards. H of A, sigma is less than 15 yards. The actual sample or test statistic is 10.9. So what are we asking? We're asking how much farther, I should actually, this is mathematically incorrect. That just bugged me right there. 10.9. What's the probability that 10.9 or greater or less than is going to happen? What's the probability that it's going to land out here at lower than 10.9? Well, they give you alpha is equal to 0.002. Okay? So they tell us the p-value, the probability of getting below 10.9 is 0.02%, right? So when we're looking at that, we're going, well, okay, hold on a sec. If it's 0.02%, I'm sorry, 0.02, that's 0.2% probability that the standard deviation of the new the 7 iron will be less than 10.9. Oops. That's a pretty low percentage. Is that statistically significant? Yeah, it's statistically significant. It's way out there. There's literally only a 0.2% chance that this happened by random chance. So, yes, it's significant. Significant because the probability of this happening by random chance is only 0.2%. The chance of it actually happening is 0.2%. So it has to be better. It has to be more accurate. So those results are statistically significant. So let's just kind of clean this up for you guys. So that's the idea behind it. So if we're going to work with this, there's a couple of things that we got to deal with. I'll just do a quick erase so the video doesn't take long. Okay, so you got two possible conclusions when we're dealing with this. Okay, there's two conclusions whenever you're working with a significance test. Okay, so we have a p-value that's small and a p-value that is large. Okay? All right. So, if the p-value is small, we reject the null hypothesis because there is convincing evidence it did not happen by random chance. I know it's hard, a lot of writing. Okay? If the p-value is large, we do not reject. I shouldn't say there is convincing evidence that H of A did not happen by random chance. We do not reject H of O. There is not convincing evidence H of A happened. There's not convincing it. Did not happen by random chance. Okay? So we're talking about rejecting or not rejecting H naught. Notice how it doesn't say anything about accepting H of A. There's no word about true. There's no word about it's correct. Perfect wording is always we reject H of O. I should just say we reject H of O. We do not reject H of O. We reject H of O when there's convincing evidence that H of A did not happen by random chance, and we do not reject H of O when there is not convincing evidence. And it's not convincing evidence when it's not past the significance level. Okay? That's the key piece. The p-value is not past the significance level. And that rolls us into the next part here. All right. So, make sure you don't use the word and don't use all the words like true, accept, all those things. It's always reject and fail to reject. All right, guys. I think that's about it for you guys right now. So good luck on that one, and then we'll get started in a minute.